Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the Emergency Storage Shed for episode 74. Yes, we're getting through them. Another 6 months and we'll be at our century. That's one item or one box or something out of this shed every week. No excuses, and it's the only way we're going to get this shed cleaned up. But in the process, we're finding some pretty cool stuff and we're generating some pretty good income. Today, well, I'm conscious that everyone is seeing a lot of electronics and computer videos lately because that's kind of the section that I'm in. I do need to keep at them. Again, there's no excuses. We have to deal with everything. However, I'm going to try and mix them up. So today we will test another vintage computer, but we'll also get another box out of the middle of some random selection of stuff. I have no idea. Let's find out together. So the next computer in the pile is this one, and we're looking at the back of it. I think it's quite a vintage one, and I think this might have been one that Bob was asking about. We'll check that out. Might try and just power it up, see what happens. I'm not going to get into computer repairs, so don't stress about that. We'll just see what it's all about and see if we can work out a value. As far as something else goes, well, we've kind of been cleaning off this middle shelf pretty well. Let's tackle that big box there. It's got some sort of stand. It looks like there's a large electric paint mixer and just a box of workshop consumables, the sort of stuff that is difficult to sort. So I'll show you how I'm going to process that. We've got to make decisions. It's got to be sorted out, and I'm not going to drop it all in the rubbish bin. So we'll get that in next and have a look, but we'll try the computer first up. Now this one is substantially older than the last few computers we've had. It looks like it's got the large size floppy disk, the 5 1/4? I'm not sure what the go with this is. I don't expect we're going to be able to boot it up, but hey, why not try? Now there's no brand on the front. It may have been over there, I'm not sure. It looks like it was lockable. And all we have here is a great big, the large size floppy drive. On the side, it looks like it's a little rusty. We have the main switch, the good old-fashioned toggle switch there. And on the back, we have power in and out. So I think out would have gone to the monitor. I don't know that we can power this up, you know. Oh, hang on. I think the monitor will go into there. Yeah, I'm really not sure. Someone's done some creative wiring here, hooked up some sort of socket direct to the circuit board. We better take the top off first and have a look and just see what's inside it. It might be incomplete anyway, and we need to work out what to do with it after that. Now, I think there's a button this side. Does the case just sort of... Oh, it does. Whoa. An enormous big power supply. Lots of large cards here with heaps of chips on them. This has to be going back to I reckon the late 80s. I'm not sure. But it's quite vintage. Will it power up? Well, I guess we'll see if the power supply works. But there's some massive chips on all these cards. I don't know what these cards are. It might be worth a lot more as parts. Even the floppy drive here is a massive big... Actually, that's the hard drive, I think. I think that's the hard drive unit and the floppy drive's underneath it. We better check out some numbers. It says Seagate on there. But yeah, this is going to be rather interesting. You know what? I just want to plug it in now and see what happens. It might be the wrong thing to do, but I can... Oh, there's a bit of corrosion on the board. In fact, there's a lot of corrosion on the boards. No, I actually don't think we should plug it in. We might lift a couple of these large slot cards out and see if we can work out what they are, but it looks like there's some bad corrosion on that one. It may have had mice through it. It may have been in a shed where it was a bit damp, hence the rust on the casing. I'll get you a bit closer and we'll pull a couple of boards out. I think if I was to power this up, we might see a shower of sparks and it could blow something that we didn't want to blow. So I'm going to lift each card out. We'll have a look at it. And I'll do a bit of checking online just to see if I can identify... The cards themselves might be quite saleable, although I don't think I've got any way of testing them unless we do get game and plug in some power. Alright, I think this end one will come out first. I'm not sure what's holding it in. I think it just plugs into the motherboard. there we go. Oops. All right, so there's, how's that for a slot card? Now that one looks pretty clean. We need to find a few numbers on it and see if we can identify. I don't even know what make this is. There's nothing on the back. At least that one looks quite clean. There's a Toshiba chip. Some of them are removable, but there's certainly lots of IC chips on there. There are a few numbers. All right, I'll have to check that one out. This next one has a couple of ribbon cables going into it. And they do look a bit corroded on the pins. Those pins are positively green. There's probably a battery here somewhere that's caused some corrosion. Oh yeah, that's not nice at all. Let's see if this one will lift out. Here we go. Oh yeah, there's a battery and there's corrosion. Oh, look at these components. Some of them are nearly corroded away. So I don't think this board's going to be much good, unfortunately. I mean, it might be still good for parts. We'll need to identify it again. But obviously the battery has caused some severe corrosion around the joint there. And we'll see if these two will come out. Oh yeah, this one looks a little less green. Nice gold pins there. Now, I'll try and leave them there so I know exactly which plugs they come off. And there we go, that's got that card out. That one looks much better, not so corroded. A little bit of scunginess on the back. But we need to try and identify these boards. And the motherboard down there looks pretty good. And there's all the rows of chips down there. I'm guessing they're like the memory chips, because back in this age, I don't think they had removable RAM sticks. But the motherboard looks clean enough. I'll try not to move these cables around too much because I want them to stay in their right positions. Okay, well, I'll need to do a bit of research. I'll be back with you shortly. So I've done a little checking. I didn't really get anywhere. Some of them don't really have any numbers that show up in searches. The small card here did have a number, and I think that's a drive or a control board for the floppy drive. I'm not totally sure. Both those boards look okay. It's that one with the battery on that's really got some corrosion issues. Everything else in here looks all right. The motherboard actually looks pretty clean, but again, there was nothing really I could search on there. I've taken the hard drive out. It just slipped out above the floppy drive. Look, I don't know. I can't tell if it's any good or not. It's up to someone else to test that. I'm not going to waste time doing that. The hard drive itself is massive, and it's a Seagate ST225. I did see quite a few of those for sale online. They weren't bringing a great deal. Most people didn't have the facilities to be able to test it. And I think this is around about a mid-1980s era computer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw a few references to dates, even though I didn't actually see a date, including on the hard drive it says date 046. So that may have been the 4th month, 1986. I'm not totally sure there. But given that it's essentially 40 odd years old, I don't think there's any problems with any remaining data on the hard drive. So I'm going to sell the whole unit complete. Bob, if you are interested, you've had a look inside it now. I'm not going to plug it in to see if the power supply goes, because there could be smoke, and certainly one of those cards needs major attention. But it could be handy for parts. So I'm going to say $100. Bob, if you're interested, send me a message. If not, I'll put it in the shop for $100. And there we go. We'll get this off the bench. Okay, now that we've got that computer sorted, we've got a couple of things off the top of that box. We'll go and get the box now, and we'll work out what to do with it all. If you are new to the channel, the whole premise of all this is to basically show you how to clean up and how to make decisions. If I had to come up with a new name for my channel, I might have called it What to Do With Stuff. It's all about, I've got to make a return. I'm a second-hand dealer, but it's all about finding the best method of disposing of things without just throwing them out, finding new homes, fixing them up, selling them, keeping them at a landfill, sometimes giving them away. Basically, it's just not taking the easy way out and getting a skip and cleaning up. As a bonus, we're making good money out of all this, and that's what I want to do. Rehome stuff, help other people out, make a few dollars. It's a win-win-win. And this emergency storage shed is a culmination of 20 years of cleaning in other people's houses and sheds, and I had to move it somewhere in a hurry, hence the emergency. And now I've got to go through it, and I swear some of this I've never seen before in my life. This is mainly workshop consumables. It should be pretty quick to deal with. Some of it I'll keep. Some I might take to the shop and just have giveaway. We might get $1 each for some of it. I'm not sure what's in here, but we've got to test that paint stirrer, and we'll talk about that stand in a minute too. Okay, let's unpack this box. What have we got here? Battery terminal protector. That feels like a full can. So unless it's the gas has gone out of it, which is sometimes an issue. Oh, that took a bit. It looks brand new, never been used. So it's either blocked or... No, I think it's trying. I think it's just blocked. Oh, yes. Okay. Yep, that's going to work all right. So I'm not sure if I need to keep that. I think we could, given that that's full, I think we might have a box of these sort of things at the shop for maybe $2 each. Someone will have a use for that. And we have some linseed oil. Well, I do use that. It looks pretty old stuff, but yeah, I do use that. I sometimes use it with a mixture of beeswax and stuff for polishing old furniture, so we will use that here. This is not much left in a can of Wattle Craftsman. It's probably it's a wood stain. I'll use that too. This one's nearly lost its label. International Marine Thinner. Well, that feels near full too. I think I'll use the thinners here. Raw linseed oil, definitely a keeper. Cabot's Danish oil. I do use the Danish oil, so I've got some good supplies here. That tin's very rusty, but I think it's rusty from the outside. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it was sitting near some acid container or something. Let me see what's down here. Yep. So yep, in here we have some spirits of salts or hydrochloric acid. I think it's also known as muriatic acid. It probably depends on the concentration. So even though the lids on these are actually done up tight, just the fumes from them will actually rust surrounding metal. So you do need to be careful where you store these. So I've got a container of this somewhere. I might just tip it all into one bottle. Easier to store than in little bottles everywhere. Here we have a workable fixative. Oh, I think this is for spraying over pencil sketches and things. Yeah, prevents smudging. Okay. I don't think I'd have a use for that. It feels like a full can. Does it still have some gas in it? Yep, that's fine. All right, we might be able to put that in our $2 box as well. And here we have an acrylic paint. Looks like it's a white. So, and it feels pretty full. I quite often have boxes of assorted paints at the shop just for $1 each. And the $1 is really just a token amount. It just kind of makes it worth my while putting them out, but at least people can reuse them. This can was next to the acid as well, and it's a herbicide. All right, well, we'll have to put that in a box that I'm going to take to a place that takes old chemicals. I won't have a use for that here. And this other one looks like explosive smokeless propellant powder. It's gunpowder. There's hardly anything left in it, and the tin is very rusty. Yeah, I think that's pretty much just throw out that one. Probably go in the recycling. I might put the last of the gunpowder just when I'm lighting my wood heater in the workshop. Yes, I know, it's only a little bit. Taubman's Silver Frost. Yeah. Well, that still feels okay, even though the can looks a bit dodgy. We'll put that with our paints. We might just have free paints, I think, just to get rid of them. Someone will use them. Okay, this was One Shot paint stripper, and it looks like Well, it's gone dry. It's hardened up, and the bottom looks like it's actually been attacked by the paint stripper. So we'll just shake that out. A little bit that's left in there it's only powder now, can go in the bin, and container can probably go in the scrap metal. Vinyl floor stripper. I guess that's just a cleaner of some sorts. All right. We might have a free box for some of these chemicals at the shop. I'd rather someone use it than throw them out. Insect repellent, well, I might use that in the shed. It's still a little bit there. PX24 water displacing corrosive preventative. Okay, it looks like an industrial style dewatering fluid, or like a CRC or something. It feels all right. Well, dispels moisture, prevents corrosion, penetrates and lubricates. Well, starts wet engines. It's like your normal CRC or WD-40 sort of thing. Might even be better. Metallic chain and bar oil, or chain bar and sprocket oil. I have a container of chainsaw oil, and there's no guarantees this is actually what it says it is. Yeah, I think it would be, but I might just tip that in with my waste oil to be recycled. Another paint stripper, paint and varnish remover, soy enriched, water-based. All right, it looks like it's a Go Green. It's an environmentally friendly stripper. I've never had much. Oops, the container's had it. Well, I probably should wash up now, shouldn't I? I've never had much success using those strippers, but we might be able to keep this one and give it a go. Here we have some more herbicide. It's a Bindi Iron Clover Killer. That's near full. I think that will be okay. Someone will have a use for that. Or if we can't get rid of it at the shop, we'll put it into our chemicals to be disposed of. Another one very similar, Bindi Iron Clover Killer. These have come out of people's sheds I've cleaned out, and it's always a drag having to get rid of chemicals. But if they're still new enough and people use them, well, I'll give them away. Aerogard Tropical Strength, so another insect repellent. And the Tropical Strength Aerogard is really good for dissolving some paint on cans and things. Sometimes you have paint that's really hard to remove. This stuff's actually not bad at it. And a little ice cream container here is all we have left out of this box. And it looks like Baker's soldering fluid and another one, I think. So I do use that, but I probably won't use all that, so I'll give some of that away. A belt dressing. I guess that's for helping belts grip. I might have a use for that. Adds traction, silences squeaks, and preserves. All right, I'll probably use that one. CLM, I think that's that's like a copper lead lubrication, super lubricant. All right, that might be useful too. Artist Colours, just some paint. I don't know what that's doing in there. Timber wood filler putty, if that's okay, I'll use that. Tip cleaner and thinner Hobbytex, so that's a solvent, I'll probably use that. Some Loctite, well, I do use Loctite. In fact, that's good. I didn't know I had any of those. And some aviation former gasket. I had some of this in a recent video. That's really good stuff. I'll certainly use that. Some more insect repellent. We might give that one away. And acrylic paint. Yeah, well, I might make a box of giveaways and people can go through them at the shop and see what they want. Saves me putting them in the bin. What's the point of mucking around in the shed if you can't have a little fun every now and again? Even though this says smokeless, I think I should do this outside. Okay, let's see if these matches will strike. They're pretty old ones. Come on. There we go. I was going to speed this up, but it's kind of mesmerising. Righto, we should have a bigger finish. I made it a bit thicker at the end. There we go. There's a bit of heat in that now. And that's it. Our gunpowder trail has finished. What's the word? I love the smell of gunpowder in the morning or the evening. Okay, that's sorted out all the consumables that I'm going to keep. I'll just stick the labels off that paint stripper onto that jar. And I'm going to give these ones away. I'm not going to try and get a couple of dollars or anything. We'll just give them all away. People should have use for those. I've cleaned the containers up. So that processes all that. Really no money back though. But it's not always about the money. I keep telling you that. It's about dealing with stuff. It's about not throwing it out. Next on the list is this, I think I called it a paint stirrer. It's probably more correctly like a plaster or even a concrete slurry stirrer. It's a fairly robust unit and it looks like it's been used for plaster. So let's check the cord out, plug it in, see if it works, and then hopefully we can sell it because I don't need to keep this thing. Cord looks okay. There's no breaks to the casing. It's a double insulated appliance, I think. It's got a couple of old test tags on here which date back to 2014 and 2013. We'll cut those off, and if it works fine, I will put a new tag on it and maybe just give it a bit of a wipe over it. Probably doesn't really matter, and we should be able to sell it through the shop. So let's plug it in. I'll get rid of these tags first. Okay, let's power it up. It looks like it's electrically safe. Let's see if it actually goes. Well, it seems to work okay. It seems to have plenty of power. It's I can't see any arcing, but it does sound like the brushes might be arcing a bit. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm actually just going to put $10 on it at the shop. I can tag it as safe, and someone can either choose to just use it until it dies, or maybe investigate and put new brushes in it or something. It is double insulated. There's a symbol there. I'm not going to pull it apart and check the brushes. I think we'll just sell it at $10 where it is, how it is. Quick sale is a good sale. Move it on to someone and they may well get a long life out of it. Now the last thing to deal with in this video is this stand, and it's actually a 1940s smoker's stand. So a bit Art Deco. It's a cast, actually it's a die cast frame underneath with probably stainless steel or chromed brass cover. Some the early sort of 40s looking plastic. It could even be Bakelite. And the top of it has, well, it's obviously incomplete, and this section would have had an ashtray mount on the top, and this section had a little table. Now I've found nearby this ring, and I'm pretty sure that this was the table, and I think it had a mirrored glass top. Obviously has been broken, so the ashtray kind of just swung around next to your table. Now the ashtray, I've actually got a part that suits it. I think there's some other bits for this in a box somewhere, so I think it was in my old shed behind my shop, and I was going to fix it up. I think a circular piece of wood, either I cut a circular piece of mirror to go in top, or even just a piece of timber and polished would look quite nice. Getting a nice circular piece would be the challenge, but I think we'd be able to manage that. And then if I can find the rest of the ashtray piece, it will make quite a saleable item in the shop. Art Deco is pretty popular. In fact, complete, I would probably ask about $100 for it. So I will hang on to these bits because I know there's some other pieces around, and I'll show you another bit that Christine found in a box just the other day, which would suit this exactly. So this is the top of the ashtray with a little bracket to put your box of matches in, and it would have mounted on there with a bowl underneath, and sometimes they had a spring-loaded centerpiece so that you could push it down and the butts would go into the cavity underneath, and then it would spring back up, probably to stop any smoke from a butt that was still smouldering. So it's a nice piece, and I think it's worth hanging on to these bits and just see if we can reassemble it down the track. And if I do that, I might make a video on it, but I'm going to keep this one for now because I do like the Art Deco stuff, and this would sell quite well, even though there's not so many smokers around these days. So that leaves us with a total for this video of $100 for the computer plus $10 for the stirrer. We won't worry about that Deco smoker's stand. We'll get some return from that down the track. So pretty good, another $110 onto the totals, takes us to $11,740 odd dollars, pushing on to 12 grand. Going pretty well. We'll do another computer in the next episode. I'll try and keep the computer parts fairly short. Pretty much it's just an inspection and a sell, or maybe we'll try and power them up. So that's what we're up to. We'll keep going with the random boxes. We'll keep making space. Thanks for coming along. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.